Hello. Excellent. Okay, we're going to get this panel started, and if people trickle in late, that's totally okay, so I hope the door people heard me. They can come in whenever. Yeah. So, introductions first. We collectively are the cosplay group Limitless Edge. Come up here. We have been cosplaying for a various number of years. I guess I'll introduce myself first. I am Lynn. I've been cosplaying for 5 years, and I've been doing art for 13 years, so I know what I'm talking about with this stuff, I guess. For art, at least. Cosplay, still working on it. But, tag.
Ooh, I'm Karen. I don't remember how long I've been cosplaying for, but I'm a professional artist. Yeah, so I do storyboards for Obsidian Entertainment, if anyone knows that company, and and concept art for them. And you know, I have a nice, lovely film school education, so I can promise you I know what I'm talking about at least in this. So.
And these are our assistants. They are Lee and Jie, whose name I cannot pronounce because I do not speak Chinese. Yeah, Jie. Yeah. They are being our assistants today. They will probably jump out and do some poses and stuff and help change the slides, but they won't be talking a whole lot because we talk too much and they shouldn't add to that. So,
we love you guys.
Yeah. Let's get going. So our panel is going to cover things in probably a little different way from what you were expecting. We're going to cover things from a fine art perspective, which means we're starting with silhouette, composition, and character. I promise we'll make it fun. After that, we're going to go into more posing specifics, like how to pose at conventions, crossplay posing, what else?
Cool stuff.
Yeah, like
types of pose.
Things you can fall back on if you need a cute pose and you just blank and you're like, what is cute? And then if we have time, we'll end with posing workshops where we can help you guys work on poses for your specific character. If we don't have time in the panel, we will conduct those outside. Next slide. So we're going to start with a game.
An awesome game.
You guys probably know it.
And you'll have to shout out the answers.
Yeah.
So we're playing Who's That Character? Just kind of like Who's That Pokemon.
Next one. Who's that character? Yeah. Next.
Pikachu.
Next one. Yeah.
Pikachu.
Come on. Yeah. Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
Turtle.
I'm pretty sure your score was 100% just now. Excellent.
Well, it's 100% because of something we like to call silhouette. Silhouette is one of the most important things when it comes to cosplay in general, actually. You might know anybody who does a lot of sewing cosplay, you want to get your silhouette right, so it's what identifies that character. As we saw in all those characters before, they had a very distinctive silhouette. You know, and seeing that for just 1 second, 1 to 3 seconds up on screen, you understood who that character was and kind of what they were doing from the pose. It's very important because poses, you know, speak to the ability and speak to the character. Here we have an example of Norman Rockwell. Norman Rockwell was an expert at posing things, and you can just see from these silhouettes, you know, even if it is a little bit, you know, light in here, so it's a little bit blurred out, and you can't exactly see what's going on in their faces necessarily, but you can see from their body language what they mean, what their intent is, what kind of characters that they are, and that's just gonna like totally make your cosplay.
Yeah. If your cosplay doesn't silhouette like the character, your photo isn't gonna look very good overall. For example, this cosplay photo, if you see a Jessie, her hair silhouettes perfectly as Jessie. Like, you know that's Jessie. She cannot possibly be any other character.
Yep.
So that is a really good silhouette.
So something that's great to keep in mind when you have a really distinctive feature in your costume, you know, such as Jessie hair. She stood straight on, you never see her Jessie hair, but she realizes that hair from this angle makes a great silhouette, turns that way. So,
next one. So, importance of silhouette. I love this slide. This is from the Wonder Woman comic, and I don't know how many people noticed, but I'm cosplaying Donna Troy, and she is from Wonder Woman stuff. So this Wonder Woman comic does a fantastically awful job at cosplaying. I mean, cosplaying? What? Silhouetting. Fantastically awful at silhouetting. If you look at these silhouettes, you cannot tell what's going on. I'm going to say this is some kind of tentacle monster with a leg sticking out. I don't know about you guys, but I see a really fat alligator going like this. And this one, I don't even know. So this is all really bad silhouetting. For better silhouetting, next slide. These are the same cosplay, but looking at them, one of these makes perfect sense. Like, yeah, legs, arm, you got this. This is what she's doing. She's just standing, but it's a good stand. This one, no idea. Until it is revealed. But before that, can you go back? Like, before I saw that, I was thinking maybe up here was like a high collar, and this was like her arms were folded and she was turning away, or maybe it was like a really saggy chest. I was not sure. I'm sorry, I made fun of you because I love you. So, going back, all of a sudden, the pose is revealed, and you're like, I did not see that pose coming from the silhouette. So, silhouette is really important. So, next one. Ways to improve your silhouette.
I mean, here we have a list of things that make for a good silhouette. Good silhouette is readable, like we talked about earlier. 1 to 3 seconds, you want to be able to see what that silhouette is. I mean, there's a picture that is a silhouette. That is Isaac. You can see his wonderful scarf. You can see the hair. If you didn't know Isaac was, you could tell it's a person standing that way. And not awkward. This is an example from a classic animation book, if anyone here studied animation. Once again, talk about the importance of silhouette, which, I mean, in my job is important every day. Storyboards, it's going to be on the screen for, fraction of a second, right? Whatever I draw, it's got to be really, really, really obvious. So this is a clear pose. That's not a clear pose.
Next one. To improve your silhouette, can I have the cord? Watch out for the following things. Unfortunate foreshortening. This is a picture of me as Eric. I figured out after the convention that I cannot pose as Eric. I was leaning into the camera the entire time. Digital cameras flatten everything. So right now I look like a Head and Shoulders monster. Literally no legs. It looks like my crotch starts maybe here, and then I have legs that are a third the size of my torso. So that was really bad foreshortening on my part, and I should have figured it out, but I didn't until after the convention. So I'm passing this message on to you. Next one. This picture does both. We have weak and lost limbs. You'll notice that I don't have a leg here.
I don't have the other half of my arm behind.
Yes, and she doesn't have an arm. This is also unfortunate foreshortening because this arm, my God.
I mean, we knew Karen was kind of like tomboyish, but.
Yeah, so next one. This is an unflattering angle. We are not bothering to change the photo for this one because it is super unflattering. Hyperextension. This is poor Care looking like she's just snapped both her arms off. To her, it felt totally natural to just sort of extend her elbow that far. But in photos, when you hyperextend something, it looks broken. Even if to you it feels totally normal, it will look completely broken, so you need to watch out for that.
A good way to be conscious of that is to, go ahead and hyperextend it and then just bring it back, unlock it, and you're probably good. Maybe it seems like it might feel good to do this, but.
Yeah, so I can give you a visual example right now. These are my legs, not hyperextended. If you can see, I'm sorry. Here. This is my arm, not hyperextended. This is my arm, hyperextended. To me, it feels normal. To you guys, it probably looks like I just broke something.
But even if it doesn't look like that in real life, sometimes what happens is in a photo, depending on the angle you get, and again, as she spoke to it, digital cameras love to flatten everything. So, something to just definitely be aware of.
So, next one. Foreshortening is awesome.
Love foreshortening, just not unfortunate foreshortening.
If you do it well. So, talk about it.
Yeah, so foreshortening, like it says here, adds a lot of depth to your picture. It's adding that third dimension that can really bring a picture to life, bring it to you. Can also create some really cool effects. Maybe being a cute character, having a bigger head, bigger eyes will look really good for you. But as we talked about earlier, foreshortening can go horribly, horribly wrong.
So horribly.
So we basically came up, we did a lot of studying trying to figure out what made good foreshortening, and came with the idea that good foreshortening does not interrupt the line of action. Now, if anyone's not familiar with the line of action, it's kind of a more or less invisible line you can draw with a character that can show the pose in one single line. So this right here is a very active, so that one, you got kind of a curve around, right? This one here is a very active pose. Active poses oftentimes get like a straight line, line of action is directional and going straight through, right? And here we can even see upright your arm. So nothing is being cut off like the Arab pose where it was kind of like we had the torso towards us and you couldn't see it flow down. Wood here, this creates dynamic and dimensional photos.
I just unhooked my belt. Okay. You should talk about that.
Dead arm?
Yeah.
So yeah, dead arm is basically comes from not committing to your pose.
I will
now.
exemplify dead arm right now.
Yeah.
My arm, what's it doing? Nothing. It's so dead. It's just,
died.
it's flopping around, dead fish. My arm doesn't care. Why should it care?
Let's
let's see, ways to fix your dead arm. We have examples of this, I think, on the next page. Yeah. So, here. Dead arm that's really excited about pointing. Dead arm, cute arm. Dead arm, sassy arm. Dead arm, coy arm. So you see, these arms go from just hanging down uselessly to doing something that doesn't distract from the pose, but adds to it.
Which is something that's really powerful. Having a dead arm can make your costume actually look really shabby, as strange as it seems. Suddenly she goes from like, oh, what is this hat thing, and she's kind of awkward at a party, to, oh yeah, she's wearing that hat.
Wearing that hat so hard.
And it does make a difference. Having confidence in yourself, having confidence in your posing, shows up in dead arms and dead legs. But again, thinking about, am I being cool, am I being cute, and just adding that with some purpose to your pose is just going to take it so much further and it's going to make your costume look so much better.
Legs are also a part of your pose. So I can do this one perfectly because I have leggings on, so you can see my legs. I'm going to stand up here so you can see my legs. Okay, so weak legs are also a part of your pose. If I'm standing like this, I'm just standing. Standing's fine, but what if I want to do a cool battle pose? I take my microphone and I attack you with it. Ha! My legs are still, just hanging out, doing their thing, but they're not very attacky legs. So what if I attack you with my legs too? Not literally. If I get my legs into the pose, all of a sudden I bend my knees, I move forward with them, and I'm really attacking you with the microphone.
So the pose is very dynamic. It speaks through your entire body, and you're getting a great silhouette too.
Yeah. To compare.
Oftentimes you said like you're looking like what we call an animation, like kind of an in-between, and you don't want a photo of that, right? Because that's what's supposed to happen between two. In animation, there's something called keyframes, right? Every kind of iconic pose of a scene is usually a keyframe, right? But getting between iconic pose to like iconic pose, you got to have some things that are switching it. And so when you get like this, it's like that's not an iconic pose, right? You always want to be a keyframe. You always want to be Ariel on the rock coming out of the ocean being, or Mufasa holding up Simba, right?
That was Rafiki.
Rafiki. Why was I saying Mufasa?
You just She just lost so many points as an animated. Okay, so another thing that happens with limbs is that you lose them sometimes. Watch your angle toward the camera because sometimes losing a limb makes sense. In the top right photo, it's obvious why you can't see my left arm because I'm in profile. Why would you see my left arm? Alternatively, here I am thrusting my sword into the air and my left arm is entirely missing. We have no idea where it went. I think I was holding it behind me, but it's just gone. So instead of looking like my arm is invisible, it looks like my arm is missing. Sorry? Yeah. So watch out for sleeves and other drapery because they'll lose your arms for you. These sleeves aren't as big as my ones yesterday, but basically whenever I folded my arms, my sleeve would just absorb my arm. So that was the thing to watch out in posing because it's not like that happens to every cosplayer, but for my specific costume, it was a problem. Yep. So as we were talking about hyperextended anything looks broken. Poor GA, so cute with that broken elbow. But she's fighting the pain well.
Okay, bring you guys this gorgeous picture.
So last thing about dynamic photos, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So dynamic photos, these are something that's a little bit hard to do when you're in the middle of a hall, right? Getting a photo just to snapshot of somebody. But you have the opportunity to do a shoot. Dynamic photos are something that can really bring a cosplay to life, really make it look like it popped right out of the movies. Here, we're not going to teach you everything about dynamic photos, but we have some ideas of how to get a good dynamic photo. So, here, canted angle is when you kind of turn the camera sideways, or Dutch angle is what it's called. So very epic, taking a shot from underneath, getting wind, getting action. That sounded weird. But we talk about following through the pose later, right?
Yeah, twisting in your poses always creates interest. If you're just flat, you're boring. But if you twist somehow, you look more interesting. Sorry.
But, so something like this might be a little bit hard to achieve in a hallway at a convention. But here are some things up here that you can do. In the meantime, make yourself seem more interactive. I'm just standing like this as Kiki. Well, it doesn't look like Kiki anyway very much. But it's a very flat on angle. But if you add a twist to your body, something that's a little bit more dynamic, it's a little bit more dimensional, And that's something very easy that you can do in a hallway when you're taking the photo. The wind is going to come as it likes to, and angles if you have a creative photographer. But adding a twist, maybe adding a hand that kind of overlaps somewhere, those are all good ideas to spice up your pose a little bit if you're doing one in the hall.
Okay. Next one.
Oh, and one more thing to remember when you're when angles from below are like really good for looking really epic and powerful. But one thing you want to make sure to do is to not look directly down at the camera because then unfortunate wrinkles.
Yeah, you get double chin, you get shots off your nose. So, you know, just watch out for angles. They're exciting, but they're not good for one-shot convention photos. They're good for photo shoots where you can take lots of tries. So yeah, next one. We have another game. This one, you have to find the character. Are you ready? You have 10 seconds to find Waldo.
9, 8,
That was 10 seconds. Okay, next. There he is. Okay, next one. Don't go yet. You have 5 seconds to find Naruto. Next one.
Find Naruto.
Okay, bam.
It's better than the alien.
Okay, last one. You have 1 second to find Anastasia. Next.
Oh, wait. Already done for you.
If you couldn't find Anastasia, you may have a problem.
Or you might not have made a decision. But
That's true. Okay, next one.
so this leads right into composition. The reason why you can find Anastasia so quickly was because that photo was composed well. It was composed around Anastasia. Whereas Waldo lacks composition on purpose, but it does lack composition in the sense of directing the eye towards one specific element. So this painting right here is a very famous painting called Whistler's Mother, painted by Whistler. After it's really boring thing about composition about black and gray, but not whatever. What it shows though is composition that leads the eye. So yes, if we start at our face, it's where you're gonna look to first. It's the face you can identify with it. But you flow down to her black dress and go straight up that straight line up the curtain. And that painting above her leads you straight back to her face once more, and we're back on her face. What this achieves is something very wonderful, and that it keeps the focus on the subject in the picture, on the subject that you want to be focusing on. And it directs the attention to important elements. In this case, you don't really have many important elements, but if you notice all the important elements in the photo, the painting, the drape, anything that might be considered potentially important that you might want to see is included in that little block you kind of made around the photo. And it keeps you looking at the piece. None of those lines let dry out of the piece. I imagine most of you are still looking around in that circle, whether you realize it or not, still looking at that, looking at Whistler's mother here. Next one.
Even if you're not looking at the PowerPoint, you're looking at the Whistler's Mother.
Yes. So we have 2 great tools that can help us with composition. They are curves and straights. Up here underneath good, we have something called a posing curve. You take 2 curves, you pose them like this, you nest them nice and pretty, and your eyes are going to flow between the 2 curves. And then underneath the bad, you have 2 curves that once again are different directions. That's what we like to call a pregnant shape in animation. It kind of looks pregnant. And what it does is it kind of traps the eye in that one little unfortunate circle, and our eye's not going to go anywhere else. In this case, in a bad way. So let's say we had a portion of our costume you didn't want to feature, and you end up with a pregnant shape, and then your eyes are going to be looking here the entire time. We don't want that. So the other tool you have is straight line. Straight lines in animation, in anything, in composition means stop. You're going to stop that straight line, you're going to follow it straight down to whatever it's pointing at. So here we have an example of a curve leading into straight lines. The curve directs the eye, straight line goes down. This will make more sense when we pull up the photo, I promise you.
Interesting.
And also one more thing to note about the difference between the good and bad is that the good ones are all very asymmetrical, which also really helps to direct flow and attention.
So the good ones direct attention, the bad ones stagnate or pull you off the page. And this I promise will make more sense once we show a photo. But the tools that you have to create these are limbs, as I was showing earlier.
Yes.
Costume elements, eyeline, follow cosplayer's environment, and once again, once we show a photo, we'll be able to break this down for you.
To explain eyeline briefly, when you're looking somewhere that isn't the camera, the viewer will follow wherever you're looking. So if you're at the top of the picture and you're looking up, they're going to follow your eyes off the picture and be like, whoops, guess I'm done looking at that.
But what could fix it though is if you have either another character above them with a straight line or a curve, or maybe a tree even there. So composing cleverly with your environment could lead the viewer right back down to looking at your character again.
Yep.
So
Next one.
So, in this one, I think we're all probably looking at Alex, right in the back.
For those not in the know, Alex is the one on the stairs.
Yes. Golden Sun. But here we have a lot of straight lines. This is kind of like straight lines and peas. So here we have lines leading back straight towards Alex. But then our eyes are above the page because right above the top of the church, straight line, once again, stopping us, bringing us back down. Mia's body in the blue there is curved slightly towards Alex. And right there, bam, focus composition.
Yep. Next topic. Who is this character? Is it A, the villain, or B, the cutie? Hey! Guys, you can do better than that. Next one. Is this the stoic or the femme fatale? Femme fatale. Is this one the stoic or the villain? Stoic. Good.
Stoic villain.
The stoic villain. Is this the brash hero or the femme fatale?
Brash hero.
Yep. Is this the stoic or the cutie? Cutie. Aww. So, character. Character.
Yeah, great, you guys are nice this time. So, yeah, this guy, this is actually his self-portrait. Did you guys know that? The painter? Yeah, he was known for doing these delightful characters. And that's just himself. And, you know, from looking at that, you can relate to it. You can connect with it. It's funny. It makes you laugh. It shows a personality. And when you're in cosplay, you want to show personality. You want to show the personality of the character that you're being. So over here we have an example from Harvest Moon 64. And we have 4 different characters. But they are 4 different characters, and you can kind of see from the acting, just not even just facial expression, but the posing, what kind of characters they are.
Okay. So, or should I talk about this one or you want the next one? Okay. So, here's Anne. She's taking a cookie, looking sort of like, I'm taking another cookie. You can't stop me. This is Ellie. She made all the cookies for everyone. She's saying, yes, Anne, of course you can take a cookie. This is Karen. She's saying, Anne, really? You're taking another cookie? But her hand is also taking the cookie. This is Mary. She's just eating her cookie happily. She's part of the group, but she's sort of quiet about it. So everyone's there, everyone's included, and everyone has a really distinct personality going on. Next one. Yep. So, know your character. Know their poses, their expressions, and their settings, i.e. where they would be found. This is harder to do at a convention, but if your character is from, you know, The Lord of the Rings, putting them in the middle of a construction site is probably not the best idea. So, here we have 2 examples of really good character poses. Like, this is Ariel doing that thing with the dinglehopper, with the hair combing. And that is sort of a quintessential Ariel pose. Here we have Sailor Jupiter doing the Sailor Jupiter pose. These are both really good examples of character poses. These are their poses. If any other character tried to do these, somebody would look at them and be like, why are you copying Ariel?
Kind of like the key poses thing we were talking about earlier. So it's very good to oftentimes go back and look at concept photos of your character, or look at some animation to see what poses they're going to make most often that define that character. But what also helps your character too is knowing who that character is. So that if you ever need to improv, like they're saying right down there, knowing who your character is, you need to improv. Someone's like, oh, I want a shot of you doing this. It happens sometimes, right? If you know who your character is, you're able to, at least if you studied it, have it in your mind kind of how that character might enact.
It's also
whatever they come up with.
Knowing their personality is also helpful because it means you're not limited to the things you've seen them do in movies. Like, yes, this is a good pose for Ariel, but if you understand Ariel's personality, that she's a happy, kind of naive teenager, you can use that to make up a lot more poses than you would ever find in the movie. And they'll all look in character, and they'll look good because you understand what Ariel would or wouldn't do. So yeah, next one. Talking about having different styles of pose. This is just a variety of chic poses. This is chic being serious. This is chic attempting to eat. This is chic looking cool, and this is chic photobombing. I know, I really can't tell which one of us is being goofy.
One of us is totally
Wait, go back.
But these are really enabled by, once again, knowing the character, or knowing some things about the character. So it just is able to allow you subtle and different expressions.
So knowing your character's personality is really good because it influences how they will affect your mood. Next slide. All of these characters are happy, but they're clearly, they're all smiling, but they are smiling for very different reasons, and they are very different people smiling. We have, sort of the sardonic, oh really smile. We have the super successful happy smile up there. We have evil smile, knowing smile, confident smile, cute smile, shy smile, sexy guy at a party smile, adorable goofy smile, serious I'm almost smiling but not quite smile. So just be yes.
So just because you're smiling doesn't mean it needs to be the same smile every time. You're thinking about an attitude, you're thinking about who you are, you can influence that smile to add to your costume, to add to your character.
Yep, next one. How to get into character. I will be the movement.
So when you're being a character, right, as we talked about earlier, it's not just your face, it's your whole body, right? You want a silhouette, you want to have every limb committed to your pose. And in order to do that, there are levels of commitment.
Yes, as we have seen here, there are levels of committing in this pointing exercise.
You go on some dates, then you can pose.
Yes, we propose to each of your poses. You know, she might be pointing, maybe, sort of. She doesn't really care about it. This one, she's pointing, but she can get a little more into it. Last one, she is pointing.
So when you commit, it's actually best to move into that pose. So if you're pointing, as you saw Lynn just do, she moved into that pose. As opposed to someone said point and you just went like this, it's not going to look as dynamic, it's not going to be committed. But pointing with your whole body, stepping into a pose, is how you're going to get a very dynamic picture.
One thing to point out is that different characters do different levels of point out. Yeah. Different characters have different levels of commitment. You know, if you're playing a really stoic character, obviously this super point pose is going to be a little weird. But nobody is ever going to be posing this much meh.
But even if you are doing a stoic character, taking your whole body and taking a moment to get into that pose is going to make you very aware of what your limbs are doing. It's going to make you aware of what every part of you is doing, and it's going to bring every part of you into the commitment of that pose. But what happens over there we go, once again, more commitment. I'm fighting, and I'm fighting. But what happens over time is you get tired holding the pose. I think everyone's had a long photo shoot, or has done one, and I've done a lot of directing, and I know working with actors in between scenes, you gotta take a moment, and sometimes we need to remind ourselves why we're doing this, or at least refresh what you're doing.
I don't know about you guys, but after a while, like my limbs start shaking, and here we can see me sort of doing her pose and then kind of losing it. Yep.
So even with a smile, if you're holding that for a while, it's gonna start looking fake. So it's perfectly acceptable to say, okay, give me a second, refresh yourself, do a little bit of self-directing there, and then conjure that smile again, conjure your pose once more, so it doesn't get kind of wilty and lackluster in your photos.
As a side comment, refreshing yourself is also really good because it means when you get back into the pose, it'll be slightly different, which means that at the end of the day, there's a fairly good chance at some point in one of your poses, you're going to have done something weird that you didn't notice. And if you refreshed yourself, you'll only have done something weird for that one set of poses. But if you're holding a pose like this and you didn't realize that your knees were like together the entire time, and all of your pointing poses are like this, sorry guys, then you're gonna have really silly pointing poses. It's like the bathroom is that way.
It is a lot bigger.
Yes, but if you refresh, you know, you sort of get up, move around, and then you're like, okay, now I'm pointing, and all of a sudden, my fight is that way, or I'm shooting lasers from my fingers. So yeah, next one. So now we're transitioning from the silhouette, composition, and character section of the panel to applying that knowledge to more cosplay posing. So, posing at conventions. You want to cover this?
Yeah, so when you're posing at a convention, you have certain circumstances that are, you're not going to find in a photo shoot. First, if everyone's wearing a badge.
Badges.
I'm not right now, I'm pretty bad. But badges are usually something that most cosplayers have, but knowing how to hide them is very, very
This is me not hiding my badge. Ha!
You are Donna Troy at a convention.
I am Donna Troy, the Fanime weekend attendee. But if I just sort of, take that off, set it down, ha!
Or, sitting on the floor is a little bit unsafe, right?
Yeah.
So, we have some other ideas. She has big boots. If you have big enough boots, you can sometimes stick a badge in your boot. Sometimes even something as simple as when you have a high collar, tucking it under your collar, swinging it around, and tucking it into the back of your costume is something you can do. Tucking it into a large sleeve. Find a big part of your costume you can kind of hide it in. Sometimes we like to tie it to our bags, but as you know from, I think it even says it in our Fanime handbooks, you don't ever want to put your bag down even unattended. I do not have on voluptuous skirts right now, but when I was Zelda I did, and I carried around a bag because I had stuff I had to carry around. Zelda does not have a bag. So I would take off my bag and my turbo. I'd set it down and I could pick up my skirts and put them on. As you can see, it looks really well kiki, but under Zelda, you couldn't tell it was there. Everyone thought it was really funny, and then it was leaving. And you couldn't tell in any of the photos But
Which is the
yeah.
important part.
But all the photos of me as Zelda have a bag underneath my skirts. Similarly, if you don't have blurred skirts like I do now, and you did have a bag that didn't belong with your costume, posing up next to a wall and kind of setting it down behind you where you can still kind of feel it with a heel, or having a handler or a friend.
Pass it off.
Yep.
So, next one.
Oh, no, wait, paying attention to your environment.
I meant next bullet point.
Okay, sorry. So paying attention to your environment. We covered this briefly earlier. If you're from Lord of the Rings, you don't want to be in the construction site, but if you are from the world ends with you might want to be. That would look pretty cool. So just knowing where you are goes into creating a character, creating a scene.
Also convention posing specifically, sorry.
Yep, what I was gonna say.
Pay attention to your surroundings, not just your environment for photos. If you're in the middle of Artist Alley and somebody asks you for a photo, try to lead them over to the side so you don't stop all traffic flow. Or we got asked for a photo in like a crosswalk. And we were like, come with us. Don't take a photo in traffic. Come on.
And don't feel awkward about it. People are very open to, if you take charge and say, hey, thank you very much, let's step right over here, take authority over the situation and just be like, hey, we're gonna move over here. We've never had anybody be like, no, I'm not gonna move over there, I don't need your photo anymore. It's never happened, I promise you.
How dare you make me walk?
And people are gonna appreciate it a lot more, and you're gonna probably have a better background without people milling around or like cupcakes from the artist alley behind you.
So bullet point we skipped. Have a rehearsed set of poses. This is really nice if you need to fall into one quickly, which you will, because people always surprise you with a photo request. You don't see them coming. They appear from behind you, tap you on the shoulder, say, can I have a photo? And you're like,
No.
oh no, photos, I didn't prepare for this. So if you have a rehearsed set of photos, you can just fall back on one of those. We usually have some kind of fighting pose, some kind of pair pose, because we're usually pairs that make sense together. Yeah, right now we make perfect sense. Some kind of cool or cute pose depending on the character, and one last staple character pose. And we can use any of those depending on what the photographer wants.
So while it's great to have a photographer who's a director, that usually doesn't happen. So oftentimes we'll be able to ask people, hey, we're Lloyd, we collect today. What kind of pose you want to see? You want to see us fighting? You want to see us cute? You want to see something romantic? And they can choose. It's kind of fun, and you get a variety of poses at the convention. I mean, the worst thing when I first started cosplaying was coming home and all my photos looked like this. And I was like, oh, if I only had had different sets of poses, I could have had a little bit of variety. So it makes you feel better after the convention too when you see photos.
Yep. Next one. Posing with a prop. Props. Your room is falling apart.
Of course it is.
Okay.
Oh, she fixed it.
Oh. It was fixed while I wasn't looking.
So, props are great. You can use props for many things. Like it says here, block undecided background elements. Oh goodness, have we done that before?
I don't know, but here, I'm some kind of shrub down here.
Okay, so right now, the shrub is included in my picture, and it's kind of unfortunate because I'm kinky with the shrub. But by aiming my broom this way, so sad.
I know.
By aiming my broom this way, I'm, one thing I'd like to talk about the straight lines earlier, leading the view back to myself with my prop. They're great, I know, like broom, straight line. It's great with a little bit of curve at the top. Leading the eye across that shrub, straight back to myself.
Sorry, the shrub.
Improved poses when accomplished. Man, I did not like going to a convention without a prop because suddenly you add a prop and you've like tripled the amount of poses you can do.
At least.
With a broom, I can fight you and fall apart. I can also hold it cutely. I can write it. I'm not going to do that with the microphone right now. But I suddenly have more dynamic options, more things to do. I even have a GG over there, so I have two different props. So it's good for creating more and different kinds of photos. So here's my photos.
So all the next ones we'll cover with pictures, so we can just go to the next step.
Yep.
Posing with a prop. Next. Yeah. Swords. Don't accidentally downplay the size of your prop. In this top left one, you can barely tell I'm even holding a sword because it's aimed directly at the camera. So it is completely foreshortened and completely gone. The next one, I angled it slightly off to the side of the camera. Now it looks huge because what I'm doing is letting the camera follow it up toward my face. So just by angling it slightly, it goes from being a non-existent sword to being super buster sword size, even though it is clearly neither of those things. Similarly, when I hold it straight flat in the top right, it vanishes, but I turn it sideways and all of a sudden people can see my full crazy cool sword. This one down here is a personal pet peeve. This pose, to me, it reads, I didn't really need both my hands. So if you're gonna hold your sword behind your back, do something more like this, pretend you have a sheath, or really have a sheath. But please stop chopping off your hands, cosplayers.
Breathe in the snow.
Yeah. More unfortunate foreshortening of the sword. I have no idea where it went. Another better angle so you can actually see the sword. Or can't if you're in the back, I'm sorry. Similarly, standing with one of those contact juggling crystals, blocking the face, that's sort of sad. We like faces. We do our best to make sure they are not obscured. This is better. You follow the line from the ball up her arm back to her face. This is also good. It is a different sort of magicalness. This is like good magic. This is evil magic. But they're both
Summoning.
yeah, they're both better magic than straight up blocking your face.
You are a crystal ball.
Yes.
Watch my face disappear.
These are a series of Mr. View photos. We have blocking the costume, better about blocking the costume, less. Super not blocking the costume, and cute. Aww. This one, blocking the face. Really?
It's happened, you've seen it.
Blocking the body, slightly better, but
All that
still.
work, sewing work.
I know, all that work just gone. Blocking neither. So, think about where your prop is in relation to you so that you are not accidentally blocking something you spend super long on.
It's always a bummer.
Yep. Last thing about props, they don't have to be in every single pose you do. You can set it down, hand it off to a friend, don't use it. If you find yourself being limited by your prop, take it out. You're a cosplayer, not a prop holder.
Yes. Similarly, remember, you're using that prop to add to your character, to add to your costume, to bring attention to your costume. I mean, unless this is some kind of prop that's actually your costume, like you're in Avenue Q or something, you want to make sure that your costume still has more attention than your prop does. So keep that in mind when you're choosing a pose with your prop.
Posing in groups. Silhouette, you want to overlap some but remain distinct. So if you don't overlap at all, you don't look like you're part of the same group. So right now, we don't look connected at all. But all of a sudden, I stand like this, or yeah, we overlap some. We're not blocking each other's costumes at all, but we look like we're interacting. Which
We're
is
now a
important.
composition.
Yes, we are now a pose. Compositionally, you usually want to direct attention to the center of the image, which would probably be the main character or just your other group mates. So I would
That's
not.
something Anastasia picture.
Yes, so I would not angle myself this way and be like, look that way. If my partner were over here, yeah, this isn't good composition.
This is like you remember with eyeline too. When we're taking photos together, we say, okay, what are you looking at?
I'm looking at the camera.
I'm looking at the camera too. Okay. And so that way you end up with a focus for everyone to look at. So unless there's some character who's just like, I'm too good for this, and you're owning that pose or making a part of it, you want to have some kind of coordination with where you're looking so that you're directing the focus.
So, also, straight lines are boring. If you guys are just in a row, like, okay, you can do better than that, guys. Oh, extra straight lines. I don't have any glasses. How about we do something a little more exciting? How about we stagger our distance to the camera? Yeah, I'm back here.
I'm in the foreground.
Yes,
Whoa.
but we're more exciting all of a sudden.
We're also at different heights.
Which is good, because otherwise, if she just stood directly in front of me, it's like, where gonna Julie go?
Not here.
So group members give you a lot more pose options, which is great. You can recreate scenes together, or you can just do things in character together, or you can all be thematically linked, like you're all fighting the camera or each other or something, but you want to make sure you coordinate, because if you don't, you're gonna look uncoordinated. Imagine that.
No way.
Oh, next one. So yeah. An example of a good cosplay group, they are varying their distance to the camera because the center girl is leaning forward. Do you want to talk about anything?
Yeah, I mean, as you see, once again, different heights, no straight lines. You got some two great curves coming this way, that way. Once again, not making a perfect shape. It's wonderful. Working towards the center of the picture.
Yep.
Okay.
Next one.
Whoa, it's not a straight line in any way, shape, or form.
And varying distance to the camera. Awesome.
The only straight line here we have with the sword, it doesn't matter because we get our shoulder leading the eye back up to the next three faces.
Next one. This one, we're in a straight line, but compositionally, we go eyeballs, arm, cookies, the other characters. I hear music. Everyone's interacting with each other. Everyone is in on what's going on in this picture.
And the eye floats across it wonderfully.
Yep. So, we already talked about this one, directing attention. Everyone is very much in on this picture. It took us like 15-20 minutes just to angle all the weapons correctly.
But it was worth it.
So worth it. So, this one is...
It's not a good example.
Check out this huge line right in between the two characters.
It's once you up, you're not looking at anything, you're looking at the tree in the middle or off of picture.
Yeah, you sort of pay attention to one at a time, and they don't look like they're part of the same picture at all. You pay attention to this one, and you're like, okay, and then follow the eyes away, and you're like, oh, done. Or you pay attention to this one, follow the eyes down, away, oh, done. So that's sad. Next one. This one, this poor Eric cosplay did not get any good photos, guys. So these two are sort of interacting. They're at least overlapping a little, but we have a hyperextended arm. They're facing each other. Huh?
They're overlapping quite awkwardly, honestly.
Yeah, but they're facing each other sort of, so at least there's that. And then Eric just looks like she's photobombing or something. She just is not a part of this group. So that was unfortunate. Everyone needs to be connected.
Aww.
Posing with strangers.
So the thing I like to, I guess I'll call it the Disneyland rule. If anyone's ever been in Disneyland, you have costume characters, and they're there to make you feel included, right? They're there to look good with you. Oftentimes you get someone, I want a photo with you. You don't want to necessarily just kind of stand next to them, once again boring. Try to include them. Sometimes I'll offer someone, oh, do you want to fight me? Do you want to be friends or whatever? So I like to have options that I can give people. A hug. So all kinds of small things you can do.
Hugs only if you and they are comfortable with.
Yes, you ask first.
No Vic Mignogna neck grabs. Don't do it.
But yeah, you're composing the picture around them. This is actually a picture for both of you, actually a picture for them, right? They want that moment with you as a character, so keep them in mind. Treat them like a part of the picture, direct the eye towards them and towards you evenly if you can.
Okay.
Thinking of things we talked about earlier.
Next one. Crossplay posing. For this one, we would like the assistance of our Cora in the front because she is wearing a costume where you can actually make out her torso, which is pretty nice. So, crossplay posing for guys. Cora is going to pretend to be a dude. This crossplay posing advice is more specifically for crossplay because it's meant to combat the natural skeletal differences between guys and girls. So if you do this, if you do the girl side as a female, you might look really silly, just as a warning. But guys, they take up more space. Their chests are expanded, their arms are out, their legs are out, their toes and knees point out. Girls, you'll probably notice that yours point forward more, at least your knees do, regardless of where your feet point.
Cool trick, guys kind of walk in parallel lines, right? That's right, girls walk in a straight line. So if you're cosplaying, that's something I keep in mind. I'm only walking in a straight line today since I'm a girl. Yesterday I was a dude.
So another thing you can do is sort of tilt your hips in, sort of like you're holding like a perma-pelvic thrust. It feels so awkward, but it is worth it because all of a sudden you don't even have a butt. It's great.
It is.
But yeah, this is my butt normally, and this is it's gone. Check that out. Yep. Head-on angles are also really good, especially if you turn yourself so that your shoulders are always facing the camera. They'll look bigger.
You can reduce your hip size.
Yeah.
Increase your shoulder size.
Yep. So females take up less space generally. You sort of condense your limbs. You don't want to be spread out. You want to be cute and compact. Yes. Adorable, Cora. Your toes and knees would point in, perhaps. Weight on one leg instead of both helps pop a hip out and makes you look curvier. You can do an S posture, which is intentionally throwing out your chest and butt to sort of give you the small of the back of the head. Yeah. And 3/4 angles are good for exactly that same reason. The S posture combined with 3/4 angles will give you a much better looking chest and hips and sort of minimize your waist. So yeah, thank you, Cora. Yeah. So here are examples of crossplay posing. Man, you cannot see that picture in the middle. That's okay. So,
Only the floating head.
Yep. My shoulders are so big they take up literally the entire picture.
So, in these photos right here, we're here with Felix and Alex. We have kind of straight on poses, or poses that kind of have the shoulders more towards the camera, wider stances. Also, the convenient cape covering any lovely woman's figure I might have had left underneath all that drapery. Same thing over here with light. Lovely Lynn here, could you even tell?
No.
But you can't really quite tell in this photo, but she's got her feet out, and she's kind of she has her hips turned this way so they're minimized, but then she turns her shoulders towards the camera and hides whatever's left over here with an arm.
Yep.
And it is a pretty manly picture if you can see it.
Yep. And then over here we have guy crossplay. He is turned at a 3/4 angle, so you get a nice curve, the S curve.
Perhaps it's hard to see once again.
Yeah, the PowerPoint
beautiful
is
on
got
it here.
Yep. We promise it looks good. So yes, next one. Genres of pose. This is sort of the last thing because we're low on time. But these are for you guys to fall back on. If you need something, you're just freaking out, somebody asks you for a picture, and you're like, I'm cosplaying a cute character, I've never done this before, what is cute? This is to sort of give you some kind of foundation. Try to apply your own character's personality to what we're about to tell you. For this, we are going to require assistance. So we'll start with GA, who's being adorable, because always adorable. So, cute things include, I'm just gonna read off a list, because I don't remember what's cute. So, cute things include a small smile, toes pointing in, hands together, being off-center somehow, your weight is not centered, your head is tilted, etc. All these things are cute. So if you need something to make your pose a little cuter, or you need a good default cute pose, that's pretty cute. Next one, cool or stoic? Ping is helping us out. Cool or stoic things include crossed arms, standing firm with evenly distributed weight, serious face. Pro tip, think about something. Because if you don't think about something, your serious face is going to turn completely deadpan, and you're just going to be like,
I'm always serious, I'm always thinking about something.
Yep. Hands in pockets can also work. Ping does not have pockets, so. Romantic, Cora. We ship Cora and Ping here at this panel. So romantic can include holding hands, embracing, touching each other's arms or faces, looking into each other's eyes instead of the camera. They're handing it up, but these things will actually help. Dips are advisable only if you have the arm strength. So yes, being energetically epic. Raise something to the sky, a prop or a fist or a raise something to the sky, Cora. Yes. Have something fly in the wind, your cape, your hair, your jacket. You can flip it out right before a photo to help if there's no wind. Yeah, but this has to be timed well, so we advise photo shoots for that. Angles from below can make you look cool, but remember, don't look down because you'll get a double chin and unfortunate wrinkles. Magical, Kiki. Look as light as possible, perhaps be on one foot even. Have an arm or a prop held out gracefully away from you. Do your best to think ballerina. Yeah, come on. Yes, be on your toes.
I did all magical things.
I'm more magical than you. Okay, aggressive. Who's doing that?
Either of us. We're pretty aggressive.
Angry facial expression, tensed muscles, all of them. As many as possible, I should say. Angles from above can emphasize your angry eyebrows and give you eyeshadows, which looks more intense. Have a target, usually the viewer or the heavens, depending. Let's see. For your aggression, and direct everything at it. Your props, your limbs, your eyes, just at that target. Brandish something if possible. Okay. Being a little more serious, seductive. Don't be sleazy, less is more. No duck face. If you do that, we will find you. And just stretch your face until it goes away. So you can, you can blow a little air out of your lips so your mouth doesn't close fully. That's a good trick for making your lips look a little fuller, which is attractive in both genders. Cross your legs slightly if you're female to emphasize your hips. You can possibly squeeze together cleavage, but again, use with caution. If you're male, usually this overlaps with generally being confident. So just do confident things, like take up space, present yourself well. So playful, flirty, smile, blow a kiss, be intentionally a little silly. GA has a 1 to 10 finger pose set that she will probably blast through right now, using different numbers of fingers. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Aww. but we're basically out of time. So, read this as quickly as you can. Friends are excellent spotters. Find your light. If there's light, you want to look at it, not away from it. Otherwise, you'll give yourself really crazy shadows, and it'll look unfortunate.
Iron your costume.
Yes, iron your costume. I meant to bold that, I didn't, but iron your costume. Wrinkly costumes are basically the easiest thing to fix that will just flat out ruin your costume. Bring references to photo shoots, references for character, references for poses, so your photographer can help you. Because photographers, cosplayers don't know what they look like.
Please
You have
tell
to
us you
tell
look
that.
bad.
Yes, because generally we'll do something that we think looks cool, but it might look ridiculous. Like we're just like, photographers, that's when you need to step in and just go, please stop. But you know, have fun with it. Do stupid poses every now and then. It'll keep you moving, it'll keep you energetic, and cosplay is about fun. So that's it. This is our contact information. Thank you for your time. We will be outside if you want help with specific poses.